All right, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Beast Dives in the house, and today we got our special guest, Eddie Cara from Platypus CyberPunks. Eddie, welcome to the show. Really appreciate you. My first guest ever. What an honor.
Yeah, it's amazing to be the first. I love being first, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, I love how it's coming back full circle. Eddie was one of our OG veggie holders. He actually had a pretty dope painting that he got. So for those of you who don't know Eddie, who don't know the project, maybe let's start off there. If you want to just tell me a little bit about yourself, tell me a little bit about your project, and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, so a little bit about myself, just a little bit about the little doxing. I worked at a few different companies. I worked in the tech space for a lot of years. I started, systems admin, basic stuff. Got into cloud automation and more advanced things. Then I got into web dev and being full stack at different companies. So went from big companies like Wayfair and Bose to I got into the startups. Then I made my way over to Datadog pre-IPO. So did pretty good there. But throughout my journey, I was adding more and more tech skills, more and more ability to control, manage teams, and got into leadership. And then at Datadog, I essentially excelled. Went from senior to leader to essentially regional manager and then director before I left. So I was able to manage, right before I left, I was managing 2 regions. That was both North America East as well as Latin America. Didn't share it with nobody. I just happened to own all of it. I wish I could share it with somebody looking back on it now. But yeah, it was about 32 people before we left, and we're making somewhere around, now this is all public knowledge. I'm not giving you any secrets. I left way earlier in Q1 of this year to do full-time with Platypus CyberPunks. But when I left Datadog, we left on I think we made about 10 million on my team alone, just within the last 2 quarters of 2022.
Is that annual revenue or monthly or?
That was just Q3, Q4 overall of the whole team. I didn't do the numbers for just my own team. It was really just like that end of year push.
Yeah.
Overall, we locked in about 55 mil, the team overall.
Now, what I like about you and I respect about you as a founder is just you have a lot of business experience. You got some technical savvy to you as well. And I really do think leadership is an overlooked skill, especially in this space. It's not something that you just wake up doing one day. It is something you have to develop over time. So obviously your background kind of led you here, but you took a big jump. You left work for this. Yeah. I can't say I've done that myself quite yet. Like what prompted you to make that move? That's a pretty big move.
It was a lot of stuff coming. So I've always been an entrepreneur. Working in the tech industry I always had the mindset of find jobs that will pay you to learn what you actually want to know. So I was like, okay, I want to know tech, but I don't really want to know tech that much because I want to have my own tech company one day. And I don't know what kind of product we were going to have or anything like that. I just knew in my mind, I got to learn the skills. I got to be competent. I have to have enough experience so that when certain things come my way, or if I have the experience to build things, I'll be able to do it. So I just found different companies who are willing to give me the skills along the way. And the last one was just really the last one that I needed. It was just leadership, hiring people, finding good people, kind of seeing through the BS when people talk and, testing people at little things so I can put them on bigger things, like those little baby steps. And it's not stuff you just inherently know. It's not obvious for a lot of it. How to give good feedback, stuff like that. It's really important because sometimes you may not have a strong individual, but if you give them the right feedback and you coach them a little bit, you might be able to get the best out of them. And they may end up becoming a superstar on your team. So it's like stuff like that and the long, what I would say the more difficult things about leadership that I really wanted to understand. So that's the progression. And the reason why I made the jump is I always wanted to do it. I wanted my own thing, and I didn't just do it to do it. I definitely set myself up. Like I mentioned, Datadog, where I left, I was there since before it IPO'd. So I did pretty well in the stock market. So I have some capital. I guess living expense money and some investment money, but
Yeah.
but yeah, I was able to set myself up. So my last couple months, I would do my day job, and then at night, probably exactly what I'm talking about. Work till 3, 4, 5 in the morning. Just working on your baby, right? Making sure they're alive, breathing, growing, fed. And then there's just a day where I'm like, you know what? I don't need to do the day job anymore. I have enough to fall on this, and I think I have enough of a solid community, strong individuals who do believe in what we're trying to build, and I already have a path forward, and I have all the structure and the teams and everything that I need. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take the jump. So I did, and I think it was the best decision I've ever made in my life.
Yeah, let's freaking go, man. You said so many golden nuggets there, but I think that's such good advice. It's funny because you and I are cut from the same cloth. Our backgrounds, our stories are similar in a lot of ways, actually. But one of the best things I heard from what you said, I agree with this 100%. And this is great advice to anybody out there, especially if you're early on in your career. You got dreams of being a business owner, an entrepreneur one day. It's not like, oh, I got to get this job to save up all this money. It's not just about that. It's about, what skills am I gaining from this job, right? You might, if let's say you wanted to own a fast food franchise one day, you might be a fry cook and you could look at it one way and be like, oh, I make a minimum wage, I'm a fry cook. But if your goal is to run a fast food empire, then go be a fry cook, go work the cashier, go see what it's like to work in that industry, right? And I think that having that long-term vision of, okay, every job I have, it's adding up to my skill set so that I could become this person that I want to be one. I love that advice. Like I actually preach that to my employees all the time.
I've had many friends hit me up like, hey, you know how to get things done. I was like, no, I don't know where you got that from, but I guess sometimes, right? But a lot of them were like, I want to do this. How do I get there? And when you bring up somebody who's not naturally entrepreneurial, somebody who's just like, I just want to buy my own business and have my own time back, right? As we all want, our time is really like, money is a lot of great things, but time is one of those things where it's like, if I could just have all of the hours in the day for myself, you could do anything. People would be so much more happier, right? And it's really time that people fight for. Mm-hmm. But when I asked them, like, hey, what have you done so far to figure out? It's like, well, I looked online for research. I looked at what I need. It looks like I'm going to need a lot of money to get going. And I'm like, well, you want to be a baker? You want your own bakery? Yeah. Go work at a bakery. Yeah. They'll pay you to learn all of it, so that they can go home and have time and sleep and enjoy time with their families. But you're learning. But they looked at it as like, why would I get a job at a bakery? I was like, because you want to own one. Exactly. So it's like, there's just like that bridge that some people just don't get. But the ones who do, like us, we're the ones who take over. We're the ones who build these crazy, facetious things that we have the vision for. Because it's like, we'll do the groundwork. We'll take the knowledge for free. Man, I've offered... The way that I got into Wayfair, this was like back when, a while ago. Okay, I'm not going to age myself, but when I got into Wayfair, the way that I got the job is I told him, hey man, give me 3 months. I will work for you for free. If you don't like it, let me go. Yeah. And he's like, I don't think I can legally do that. But after he spoke to me on my last day, when I said, hey, my last day, let's go get Starbucks or something, the goodbye. He was like, the reason I hired you is because you were willing to work for free. Yeah. Right? And there's a lot of people who aren't willing to do that.
Yep. And that's when you look at things as a job versus like building skills, right? So you got a lot of good skills. They've led to this moment. You created this project. You put it all on the line. What did you put on the line for? Tell me more about the project.
Everything. A lot of money. So off the bat, I think I'm at personal investment, like 110K.
Wow. That's you're in deep.
The project, the art. The art, technically, yes, it did cost me. My fiance did all of it, but she still has access to my bank account, so more or less, she has access to it. But so we're at like 110K for all the dev work, the stuff that's being done now, and being worked on, and then for like personally, a lot of relationships I had to let go of. There's a lot of personal sacrifice in that because I moved. I'm here now in Atlanta. So originally I got to say goodbye to a lot of friends, some family I have up north, and then move closer to the location where we're really going to put that first shovel in the ground, so to speak. I'm not building anything, maybe not yet, but not building anything. We're going to buy property, but the location having to move, right? That's a big change. Some sacrifices in sleep. I think you and I both share that very harmoniously. So there's a good deal of stuff that does get sacrificed when you try to make something bigger than yourself. And it's, yeah, I think if I had to give you a list, money, friends and family, physical comfort and location. But then again, the North had snow. Now I don't have snow. That's a win. But, a lot of sacrifices along the way.
And that's what it takes, people. Like, you got to make sacrifices. I sacrificed relationships, money, of course, time, my personal health at times. I'm not saying this is all good stuff, but when you really want something, you got to go all in, and that's something that makes me believe in you and your project. So let's talk more about your project. Tell me a little bit more about Platypus CyberPunks, and we could get more into the platform from there.
So Platypus CyberPunks, the Platypuses was an idea that we had kind of like comically amongst myself, some ETH friends. We've all made friends in the NFT space that we've never met in real life. But I've been DMing a few of them. I'm like, I'm going to make my own project. And they're like, what for? I was like, I don't know, we need more people with business sense running these kind of projects. We need people who have an idea and it has a purpose, that there's a direction to it. Then, oh my God, I actually sold all my NFTs out. Let's figure out what to do with the money after the fact. And that's why I resonate with VeggieMate so much, right? Because you guys had a mission, you had a purpose, you knew exactly what you wanted to do. And I love to see that kind of stuff. And then the Platypuses, because I was just like, what animal wasn't done yet? How do I make a euphemism out of this? How do I make this work? Well, it's NFTs, so that's science, right? That's new tech. And then we got Platypus, the weirdest creature on the planet. So weird science. Platypus cyberpunks. You put those two together, it's pretty much a euphemism for weird science. But then, the Platypuses allow us to be more fun, more degen, more social, right, for the community, than being what I found to be not a successful location. Like, you got projects, I'm not going to name names, we'll leave them out, but we got other projects doing something similar to us or thinking about doing something similar to us, and they're having a struggle with essentially being able to get attention.
Yeah.
And it's because people aren't looking for, this is an NFT that's going to get me to this product or this solution or this service or protocol to the platform. People are looking for the community. They're looking for a way to be a part of some sort of hype, right? PFP's best psychology to it. And I was like, okay, let's build a community. Let's get people interested. And money wasn't really my goal, right? The whole goal for Platypus CyberPunks was really just to build users who are interested in real estate and wanted to build together. So when we do build the platform, we have users.
Yeah.
That's really the outcome that I was going for Platypus CyberPunks.
And I feel that so much, man. I've talked to several project founders, people who have said like, oh no, my platform is going to carry itself based off of merit and functionality. And, I tell them, like, you can have all the functionality in the world, but if no one's paying attention to it, I guarantee there's a better version of everything we use out there that I've never heard of, right? And that's one of the beauties of the NFT community, is you could build a community. And your NFT, not only is it a way to help fund your company, but it's actually a way to gain an audience, to gain a community, so that when you launch your product or you launch your platform, you're not starting at ground zero. But in order to do that, you need to have a project that resonates, right? And it's really hard to just sell a platform because there's not enough sizzle to it, right? And so you kind of got to lead them in with the art, the degeneracy, like that's what people love in the market. But then you hit them with the content, and then you hit them with the actual like utility, right? So let's talk about that. You mentioned you have a platform. It's called Whimsy, right? So tell me a little bit more about the Whimsy platform.
So the Whimsy platform is essentially the quintessential cornerstone of Platypus CyberPunks, right? There's going to be a lot of other platforms, other things that we're going to be working on. That's the beauty of the Platypus CyberPunks. We can grow, we can scale through different... I'm not going to give it a name yet, because the Whimsy piece is the main piece, but Whimsy being part of the real estate investment platform, it's really the... kind of like just the whole pie at this point. Of the whole project. So being able to buy real estate on a fractional basis. So during the 2020, 2021 rush, kind of earlier in 2019, we're building out, but a lot of friends of mine up in the north, in the Boston area, were looking at properties. We bought some together, But 2020, 2021, you saw the rush come in. So a lot of that gave me that ability to just look at them and go, do we really want to hold these properties, or do we want to cash out early? So getting that blessing of, okay, well, we don't have to wait 5 years. We can just wait 3 to 4 months. So we sold all of that stuff out. But that's where that whimsy idea came from. Because it's like, well, I just came from an IPO. I had some money, and I was the guy who wanted to buy into properties that they were essentially managing for me. And I was like, well, we can build this into a software, right? So I got into a little bit of research, learned about fractionalized real estate, essentially being able to sell shares of a holding equity, a company that holds the asset, holds the property. And then, with a lot of lawyers and a lot of fees, we were able to really manage a good structure to get it done. So Whimsy became exactly what the project was always ended up to become, being able to buy and sell fractionalized real estate for as little as $100, and being able to give people who never had the opportunity to invest in real estate to be able to partake in it. You'd be able to buy a few shares, and the best way about it is it's just like being a landlord. We don't sell you a security. We don't give you any sort of, the success of us is not how your property or your tenant's success overall will be measured. You yourself, with governance, voting, being able to make choices. Do we get a new roof? Do we paint the house? That's all done by you and the other holders. So because now you're managing that asset, you are really owning the success and being a part of that journey of that real estate investment.
I love this idea. What's really awesome about it is you're not forcing a use case into the blockchain that just for the sake of doing it, right? There's a lot of that going on where it's just like, oh, let's put it on the blockchain. Why not? Because you can do it. But this makes it, what I'm hearing is like equity, right? Accessibility. There's so many people, especially in our age demographic or this day and age, who can't afford a home, right? And they can't get into the real estate market. And, we have these big booms and we have these big moments to capitalize. And much like crypto and blockchain, if you want to have access to be like a market maker, let's say, in the traditional sense, you better have a lot of money, right? But with blockchain, you got $5 and you can make the same thing that somebody with $5 billion can make percentage wise. Yep. So that's an awesome idea. And then using, we're not going to call it a DAO, but like a voting system, in order to actually make decisions like you would do in a traditional sense. And you could weight those votes based off how much own. I mean, it makes so much sense.
And the best part is you don't have to have the struggle of being a landlord either. Like, no one's going to call a shareholder who's holding 1 or 2%, right? And they'll be like, oh, the toilet's out. Somebody's got to go figure that out. That's what Whimsy's job is for, right? Because Whimsy's job is to get the property, get it ready, put a tenant in it. Now it's making money. Now there's numbers that make sense. There's an investment there that you could see some return on. But since you're buying the asset, we are not holding any percentage of that equity. We're selling 100% of it. That's what a sold out state would look like. And being able to be a part of that is the return on the investment is your monthly income, just like any other landlord. So as the tenant pays rent, you get your fair share of whatever you're holding in your weighted amount of shares that you've bought. Now, obviously it's a long-term hold, but there's benefits to it, right? There's appreciation. Maybe we get another 2021 bull run. We get appreciation. You can sell your tokens on the platform. You could buy more tokens from others. If one was sold out now, but it's available later, just like walking around your town and seeing a house on the market, same concept, right? But being able to do it quickly, be able to do it very effectively within the platform. I think that's going to be a super game changer.
Oh yeah, no, it's such a good idea. I can see why you put it all on the line for it. Also,
and it's nothing new, right? It's trending. You got Jeff Bezos buying his own platform. You have Elon Musk buying his own. They're just buying companies at this point because they got big boy money. But we're building from the ground up. So like Arrived Homes. That's the one that Jeff Bezos is doing. His is technically all at a loss because he's going to attach Amazon to it, right?
Yeah.
Whereas we're more focused on the actual real estate business as a whole.
Yep. And there's one thing about real estate, you might pick the wrong year, but over a course of time, I don't know when it's ever happened to you, but my rent has never gone down in my entire life. I've never seen rent go down. I looked up a graph. I actually have a rental property, and I was debating between selling and renting, and I came to the realization, wait, literally rent always goes up. And inflation's not a myth. It's not a theory. It's just a fact, right? And
Yep.
everybody needs a place to live, and so I think that when I look at property, I'm usually thinking of 10, 15 years out. I'm 100% going to be in the positive, no matter what. Like, there's no way that I'm going to be in a deficit by the end of that time. Maybe in the next 1 or 2 years, it's possible. Even maybe the next 5, but over a long haul. I know this because my mom has actually sold a couple properties for really cheap. One was in Hawaii, one was out here in Washington. And they're two of her biggest regrets in her life, because she always just dwells, oh, my house, she bought it for like $200K back in like 2000, and now it's worth over $1 million in Hawaii. And it's like, no brainer, is Hawaii, of course it's gonna go up, right? So yeah, real estate's a really good investment. And I think, what's interesting to me is, even I'm a big believer in asset diversification, right? You shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. If you're a stock market person, you should, you want to hold your cash. You're all in on crypto. Like, you want to just be all in gold. The move isn't to own
NFTs, man, all in on NFTs. You don't think that my NFT bag is going to keep going?
No, well, okay, well, you could go all in on NFTs. Like, yeah, if you sell your house for NFTs, that makes sense, obviously. But outside of that exception, but that was just a joke, not financial advice. But yeah, asset diversification, and again, I actually have a friend. This is one of the most inaccessible things to people these days, right? Especially the younger generation. So you're actually giving people an opportunity for asset diversification. And these are people who, you joked around about it, but like a lot of their portfolio is in crypto and it is in NFTs. But now they actually have a part of their portfolio that's not just in NFTs, it's actually in real estate.
Yeah, that's it's a big piece. So like I talk about crypto, I talk about money management a lot of the time. My advice is general advice. It's not like, hey, I'm going to change your life with this financial advice, but here's the fact of the matter. Here's terminology. Here's what I would do in a scenario. And I talk a lot to my own community. Hey, what are you guys buying for stocks? What do you guys got any gold? You got any silver? Yeah, there's different assets. There's different ways to protect your money. And the reason that a lot of people with some capital who've done it for a while say, hey, diversify your assets. Because I know we're talking about it now, but there's people who are listening like, why would I do that? Well, the whole point is, if money ever goes to zero, which based on the current set of the world kind of looks like it's gonna, you want a transitionary asset, something that holds value. Doesn't matter what it is. If the US dollar disappears tomorrow and we all get bricks, or if ETH becomes the thing, or Cardano becomes the new currency of the US, you're going to want the thing that held the value over to the next round of whatever that is.
Yep.
A home, gold, silver, a business that produces something or provides value. There's always going to be something that can carry over the value or your wealth in some way. So that's why there's a lot of diversification, or like the recommendation of doing so, because it protects your money. And if you do it the right way, you'll make more money, depending on what that is that you bought.
And maybe you could empathize with this, but I was somebody who grew up pretty poor, and I was fortunate in my career, and I came upon some money, and it happened at a pretty rapid pace. And the problem was I wasn't financially educated when I got that money, and that's when I had to learn. But the problem with my mistakes is they costed me hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn, because I didn't have a financial education. And I think one of the things that I try to preach to people early on, especially, you might say like, oh, I don't have the money, I'm not worried about those things. Like, no, educate yourself on these things, because one day when you are in that position, you got to make sure you know what to do with all the money. Because if you're smart with it, you might not have to lose the $300,000 or $400,000, right? To learn that lesson. You get to learn your lesson for a lot cheaper just by listening to people like yourself. So definitely, anybody out there, like, invest in your financial education, regardless of where you are. If you got dreams of being on the moon right now, you should start reading books. You start listening to podcasts.
All you need is one example.
Yep.
Right? Besides, you just need one example. Those who make millions of dollars in the lottery, even after taxes,
Yep.
we all go back to working their shit job because they spent it all like idiots. It literally takes, you could leave this conversation with one thing. If you win the lottery and you've won 5 million, take 1.5, or no, treat yourself, 2 million, and buy enough stock dividend paying assets, right? That pay you enough so that you're making 6 to 7% return year after year. You'll never work another day in your life. You're making about 100 to 120,000 a year just off dividends. Spend the rest of the money like it's water. Right? It's just that one little bit of info, that little education that can change your life for the rest of your life.
So you're saying don't buy a Lambo and forget about taxes and then negative and not have cash for taxes and then sell.
I don't know, man. I don't know about taxes. I hear a lot of people saying taxes. What are those?
Yeah.
People are like, no, it's crypto forever.
Yeah. No, taxes are a tough lesson. I could go on about that one, but this is about you. So, all right. One more thing I wanted to bring up. I know you got a catalyst proposal going on right now. So you want to talk a little bit more about that. Everybody out there, it is time. So your vote does count, and support our guy, Eddie. But yeah, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, man. So the catalyst proposal, I'm going to be real honest with everybody. It was written in a joking manner because there was a few other ones that came out that were like egregious, very greedy, unnecessary, and kind of questionable of like, are they just getting money because they can ask for money? And, and I'm not going to go into that's a Twitter storm that I don't even want to be a part of. But I said, okay, well, then let me put one together that makes sense. A real estate oracle. And I joked around with a few people in Twitter Spaces going like, I'm going to write it like a BuzzFeed article. I'm going to get attention. First ever real estate oracle in Cardano. That's the title of the whole proposal.
I loved it. It got me hooked.
Right? And everyone who reads it's like, what do you mean first ever? And I'm like, they're like, oh, that's facetious of you to say. And I was like, but you're talking about it. That's the point.
Yeah.
So I wrote the whole thing talking about it as if it was like me as a reporter, like, okay, we're going to do this and then we're going to do this. And this is what's the value coming out of it. And as I'm writing it, I'm like, oh man, this is like a really good idea. I should really keep doing it because it's part of our roadmap to eventually with Whimsy build a real estate oracle. Because I'm a very strong proponent that competition breeds success and breeds innovation. And if we don't have that, and let's say I'm the only one with a real estate platform that works on Cardano, I don't really want to be the only one. It'll be nice. Yeah, I'm the monopoly, but it's not going to let people have that choice between. It's not going to let me show other people. It's like, oh, see, they're doing this, but we've already done that times this, right? I'm very competitive, and I like to show through example and through value. And if I'm the only one, there's nothing to compare to. So the real estate thing will allow competition to exist, but also I'm going to cheat, with that proposal. We're building a real estate oracle for the sole point of bringing things to the blockchain so that they already exist. They're already there in the transition, which is going to be inevitable at this point. You got things like XRP, Algorand, now us here in Cardano because of what we're working on, and a few other blockchains that are trying to own the real estate industry. And the way to do that is really through information. Yes, we can do the fractionalized real estate. I can get all your KYC. We can work with that and do a lot of really cool stuff on the platform so that you're able to buy real estate and invest in it. But it means nothing if I'm not able to utilize the blockchain for the future, right? Making something like a true protocol that allows you to grab information. All you have to do is connect MLS and bridge it. And then every once in a while, sync it back up. And then pull in the historical information of what was sold, what was bought, what was the valuation, what are comps in the area. Being able to search all that from the blockchain, you can start programmatizing rent rates. Yeah. You can start programmatizing the sale of what properties were. You can start programmatizing literally anything. When you have the data, you don't have to go through all those paces. Let's say we want to sell the whole property. Well, I don't want to do the research. I can just say, let's go back 5 years, see what the property's at. Let's look at the nearby area with all the data we got, and let's set a price. And we can program that in a way where governance can make the decision and they can go ahead with all the choices from there. And it's very automated, decentralized, and owned by nobody. Or if you want to, maybe in the future, maybe some alpha I'm leaving here, if we want to put some loans and you want to leverage your property shares because they do produce income, we can use a reference point of historical data to make those loans make sense, right? These oracles are very important. And it's also, if we want to bridge to other blockchains, other tokens, other forms of communication, the oracle is necessary, right? Let's say they want to buy one of our properties, but they only want to use Zoom, Wallet, and XRP. Well, we can build a bridge, but an oracle is going to need to be there to kind of facilitate the information and the storage of that info, where the pair-to-pair is set. So this is like, getting that oracle going is really what's going to make the transition into the future of real estate, into the digital, into the blockchain, that much more easier. When you make it open source, like what we're going to plan to do, it's a really, you out of all people know, when you're talking a sales engineering background, right? When you talk to people and they're like, oh, yeah, we have this product, it's amazing. Haven't you heard? Well, there's some open source options. We're going to run through those before we start talking to any vendors. That's definitely a conversation I've been in 100 times. Right, but once you have an open source solution that's easy, it's a win.
Yeah, no, I love it, and again, it's the combination of knowledge you've gathered in your life to help. Like, these are such niche things that all kind of accumulate. And I always talk about this like Slumdog Millionaire moment, right? Where just that random
all the questions
thing.
for my life.
Yeah. That time you like got bullied in the 3rd grade, and bubble gum was in your hair. It's like, oh, now that gave me this moment that I have right now. So I just love the accumulation of all this knowledge you have, and how cohesively it's coming together. And I think that, like, my theory is if blockchain was going to be irrelevant, it would have been gone a long time ago, right? The fact it's still around, it's here to stay. There's no denying that. The use cases are still getting figured out, right? When I started on the internet, I literally was looking at a can of spam. Like, the spam website was just a can of spam. It said find the spam, and literally it was the whole entire can was the whole website. And then if you check out any of the old websites, it's like, why did this even exist? And now I make a living on my chair in front of my computer. I run a company in front of my computer. My entire life is on the internet, basically. I'm talking to you right now over it. So these use cases don't seem very apparent right now. But it's going to become technology that's just a part of our everyday lives, and we're not even going to think about it, right? So it's builders like yourself who are thinking about it right now that are going to lay down the foundation. I want to wrap this up. I know it's late your time.
It's fine. I got family over.
And I see it's dark outside. I got the sun setting over here. But any last like comments, anything you want to leave us with before we end this great interview here?
I don't really have anything to shout out besides that proposal. We do need everyone's votes. Go and like it. Hopefully there's some links somewhere, but like it as much as you can so we can get attention to it. That's part of the downfall of such great ideas on the blockchain, especially Cardano. Not enough attention, not enough ways of marketing or getting the great ideas out in front of everybody. And then when the catalyst comes through, remember to download the app, register your wallet, and put your vote in. And if I'm going to leave with a quick sense, don't believe the naysayers, don't believe the individuals who talk down. Keep grinding, keep moving, and never stop. You'll eventually get what you put into the world.
Oof, that's facts, everybody. Listen to my man here. He just spitting out knowledge bombs. Make sure you go check out the project if you haven't already. Platypus, CyberPunks, Eddie Cara, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for being my first guest. It's been an honor. I've known you ever since we started our project. You were always one of our biggest supporters, so I love it coming back all the way around, seeing you be successful. You deserve every bit of it, and you guys, if you're thinking about starting your own project, just realize this is what it takes to be successful. So really appreciate it. Thanks again for your time, and everybody out there, make sure you live your beast life.